You sit right there.
Wow.
Just right there on the edge of the chair.
With a little baby here. Hey.
Mommy gotta argue. Mommy gotta fight. I just want to. Oh God.
What's up, bro?
Just a few questions. So
How's my hair?
you
Well,
look
is it even
beautiful.
on?
How's my lipstick? How's
Is
my
it on?
scent?
Perfect.
You
Yeah.
look great, Grandma.
It's on right
So,
now?
Yep.
So, what's your Burmese name and your American name, and when were you born? And where were you born?
My Burmese name. So how do I? No, but don't start. How do I answer my Burmese name? Say my Burmese name.
Yeah, my Burmese name is. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. My Burmese name is Myint. And I am born in Rangoon, Burma, and now it's called Myanmar. And the date I was born is November 16, 1928. Oh, when we went to a British school, we were all given English names, and my name is Flora Myint. Is
Your name.
yeah.
And who are your parents?
My mother's name is Tint,
Dalton.
Tint, Tint, and my father's name was Walter Black. He was of British descent.
How many siblings do you have?
Just two. And her name is, she never had a Burmese name, but her name is Marie Black.
Mari Black. So you put Flora Black in.
In my British name is Flora Black in school, but my Burmese name is Myint.
And who were your grandparents, if you could maybe remember their names?
Oh, gosh,
Or what did you call them?
My grandma and my aunt brought us up, and my grand aunt's name was Mrs. Abrew.
Abrew?
Yeah, Abrew, and that's also sort of a Portuguese descent.
So that was
Abrew.
your father's sister?
My father's mother and my father's aunt.
Okay.
That's the side that are, Catholics, and made us go to convents, to the Catholic convents, and that's where it was under the British, so we had to speak only English, we were taught. Although we were Burmese, we were only taught,
Wow.
to speak English in the convent. Yeah.
And what exactly is the convent?
Convent is
school?
only run by the nuns, by the Catholic nuns.
Ah.
So you call them convents, and that's a very European system. If you go to convents, wow, you don't have to talk to boys. No boys in our school.
That must have been hard for you, huh?
Oh wow, we didn't know, and they were so strict.
Yeah.
The nuns were so strict.
And it was you and your sister that went there?
Yes, because my mother's name was Tint, and she is Burmese, pure Burmese, and my grandparents and my father wanted us to be Catholics, and under the British system. We were under colonial England, British. Burma and India were under the British. That's why everybody spoke
English.
in India too. The official language. The official language in the government language is in Burma was English, and in India right up to now.
Wow.
They can't, because India is so diverse in languages. They still have English as their government language.
The number one.
But we don't. We have Burmese as our official language. But when the British, under the British, it was the British. English was the language.
So your mother was a Buddhist?
My mother was a Buddhist, and she couldn't speak a word of English. She couldn't speak a word of English.
But Grandpa, your father, was able to speak both English and Burmese.
Yes. When he came, my mother's family was a merchant family that owned ships, that owned boats, that go up and down the river taking rice to Upper Burma. Rice was grown in Lower Burma, so her family had ships, and my father was the captain of the ship, Irrawaddy floatler. He was the captain of his ship, so that's how they met. My mother's family had their small boats, Burmese, and my father was under the British, it's called Irrawaddy Floatler Company, and he was one of the captains.
How
So
do you
that's
spell
how they
that?
met. Irrawaddy, Irrawaddy. It's still the biggest river in Burma is called Irrawaddy.
Okay. So that's how they met?
He was a captain,
Aw.
but he was in the British Army. But when he, came back from the army, they gave him this job.
Okay. And when, I know he passed away earlier.
Very early, he passed away when I was about 8 years old.
8 years old. Okay. And Mari was
10.
10 years old. So after, and I heard there was something, where did you live when you and your parents?
Well, my grandparents were, they owned property, so we had a big house where we lived in, and we had rental houses next to our house. So they lived on rental income.
Oh, okay.
So when the grandfather and my father and all died, my grandparents, had rental income.
And that was in Rangoon?
And that was in Rangoon.
Didn't something happen in Rangoon?
Yes, and then when the Japanese came, they bombed the Japanese were bombing Rangoon and all because they wanted to take over.
What year? What year was that?
Well, we were about, 11, 12, very young. I didn't.
So
Because my sister would know, darling.
1930s, late
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah. So I'm what? So when the sirens went, and when the planes came, to bomb the city, we all had to go under the trenches. That's during the Japanese-British war. The Japanese wanted to take over Rangoon. So when they were fighting and came, what happened was, then my grandparents found that the house, there must have been some sort of a bomb, incendiary bomb on a house, and they saw fires coming out when they were under the trenches because they were afraid of the bombs, and they looked and their house was on fire. Their house and all their rental property was on fire. So all of us were in the trenches. So my mother took, when we came out, we had nothing, we just came out, and of course we had relatives. My grandparents had some relatives living in front of us. Their house didn't get on fire, but we had a direct hit on both our house and our rental properties. So we had nothing, and so my mother took my grandparents and her two children, and took us to the Irrawaddy Zalona place under Irrawaddy where her family lived. So she took us all and to live with her family, Burmese,
And where was that? In Arrow?
In
It's at the
that
city.
was in Zulun in Henzada district in the Delta area. That's where the rice and all are grown. Lots of rice.
It's called Zuluun?
Zulun was where we lived,
Okay.
but it's in the Henzada district.
Do you remember that story that Auntie Mari was telling about how
She
the
went to
picture of when you had the picture of the only, you lost everything
Yeah.
in the fire and the bombing. And there's this one picture that some lady had of you and your sister and your parents.
Yeah.
Do you remember that story that Auntie Mari told?
And
Where-
then what happens? Oh, she knows more.
Well, something along the lines where you didn't have anything. All you had were yourselves, all your
yeah.
belongings, all your pictures,
Is
your
that
books,
what the
everything.
picture she has in her house?
The picture that she found, I think you and your mother and your sister all went to this certain place. I don't know.
Studio and
Yeah,
got it out.
Well, no, you either went for, I don't know, to eat or to just stay in or something. And this lady happened to have a picture on her wall. And your mother said, "This looks
Us.
like me.
Yeah.
This is a picture of me. I know this picture, and those are my daughters."
Yeah.
And how, it was just a miraculous thing that
Darling,
that lady happened
to have it in her house.
find a portrait that she just felt so impressioned to keep,
Yeah.
and that you guys were able to come across it, and it was the only portrait you have
Of
of
our
your family.
Yeah.
And then she gave it to your mother.
Oh, so
Do you
that's
remember?
that. I don't know all this. I don't. I have forgotten a lot of things that happened in my childhood, But my sister remembers everything. I don't, darling. I don't remember everything. When we came back from Ceylon, we came back to Rangoon, and that's where our houses were all. We thought we could stay there, but we didn't have everything was burned, so we had to stay with a cousin in Rangoon, darling, on one of the main streets of Rangoon. So her cousin, my mother's cousin, put us up,
Oh,
let us stay with him.
Yeah.
He was a photographer. So we lived with him and lived with them. I just went to school, darling, I just finished my high school privately. So my mother had friends that had, very big house and cars, and he was the owner of all the teak wood. He was the teak wood king of Burma. He owned all the teak. Teak is a so expensive wood. And his name was Uba U, but his family just lived a few blocks from where we stayed with a cousin. And all his children went to this private school, so they took me in, and I went and stayed, and I went and continued my high school privately, and from then on, I just wouldn't stop, My sister didn't continue, she didn't continue. She got married early, and her husband was an officer in the British Army, and Harry was an officer in the British Army. So she got married early, very early, whereas me, I didn't go to, I just wanted to study. And so after high school, I had my mother's rich friends had cars, so they took me to school every day with their car. First I passed my high school, and then I went to college. And there I was again in American college. When I came to America, I had one of my friends living just near me, Dr. Kin. We were in college together. So I was very lucky now to have Dr. Ken just near here in Contra Costa County.
And so, what was your first husband's name?
Myint. Myint. And it just happened that his name was Myint, and my mother gave me Myint. There are no surnames in Burma. You take your name on the day you were born. So if you're a Thursday born, you were given a combination of names. So my name was Kenthan Myint in Burma, and his name was Myint.
You're both born on the same
Yeah,
day of the week.
They chose those. So no surnames. It's the Buddhist system is not permanent. That's a very big difference from Buddhism and Christianity. You don't want any. Like India has beautiful edifices, big buildings, beautiful buildings. Thousands of years, hundreds and thousands of years in England, all these countries. But in a Buddhist country like in Burma, they do not want permanent. They don't go for permanent big riches and all. We did have, the king has it and all, palaces, but they didn't go in for permanency. That's Buddhism. Yeah.
So I guess I know your last name now, like
Myint.
mom's last name is Myint.
Yeah.
So
That's
how did that happen?
We just took our father's name.
Your
I know.
husband?
Sorry. Jomi has my
First husband.
my first husband's name is Myint.
And so is it when you came to America that you combined it as one last name?
I did because I married Myint, but Mari took Roberts, her husband's name. My sister married Roberts. They all
You could change it.
they just took Keith Myint, Byron Myint, Melody Myint. They took their father's name.
And when did you come to America? I don't know if
19 on your mother's birthday.
May 9th?
May 990. We were,
19...
91.
91.
1991. Right?
1991.
You mean 1981?
You mean 1971?
Sorry.
Because I say Brandon would have been born already.
No, 1971.
Oh, okay, so May 9th,
71
1971.
was Melody. Melody had...
No. That's when you came to America on your birthday. 1971. Yeah.
But we had two birthdays. We stayed in Hong Kong a few weeks with friends, and so she had a birthday in Hong Kong.
Oh, she did. The
Yeah.
celebration, first time in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, 90. Her birthday, and that day we crossed over to America, and she landed. We landed in America on her birthday, May 9, 71. Sorry, 71.
Yeah.
So we had two birthdays, one in Hong Kong and one in here. After my college, I just wouldn't leave college. And so after I graduated with an economics degree with bachelor in economics.
So how old were you when you graduated and then got married?
Oh gosh, darling. When I
When you
got married?
graduated
Yeah.
and got married.
Gosh, I don't remember. But anyway, I can calculate, but-
Do you remember what date it was when you graduated?
When I graduated, because there was a small group, all educated in British and American schools, that as soon as we got our bachelor's degree, we got a job. So I got a job in the, in the Bank of So I worked as an economist in the British Bank, and from there I received scholarships to go to Australia to study economics.
Okay. And then
So
you
I
went back to
sta-
Burma.
And then after the course of economics, I went back to Burma.
Met Myint.
Yeah, I met German, but I was still working with the bank.
And what was his profession at the time when you met him?
When I was he was already an immigration officer. He was also a graduate immigration officer. And then he became one of the head of the departments of the immigration. Yeah, he had
And so
a
then
good
that's-
position.
That's how you guys were able to come through to the States, right? Was through, he knew the ways through immigration.
Yeah, but we did stay there. No, we never thought we would ever come away from Burma. It was such a lovely country. All of us had good jobs. Everyone, there was no hunger in Burma. No hunger in Burma whatsoever, because we had 3 big rivers going down, the center of Burma, Irrawaddy, the Salween River. And so we had a lot of water, and so no hunger. So a small population, 40,000, only 40,000 people in, and we are about the state of Texas, the size of the state of Texas. But because there's no hunger and we all had, riches like rice and jade and all the minerals and all the jewels we had, all the poor Indian people were overpopulated, so they want to immigrate into Burma. And the Chinese were overpopulated, so they came to Burma. So they used to, so that's where Kuchami and all had to control immigrants coming into Burma. So Kuchami was also stationed in the border between Burma and China, in Chinchong.
What is Kuchami? What is
Kuchami? I call him Kuchami, means it's just like a big, everybody's addressed as, if you're older, it is Ko, You address them very respectfully.
So he's younger than? Oh, he's older than you.
Yeah.
Kuchami.
Kuchami, we call him Kuchami.
And so because he was head of immigration, you were able to come to America?
No, we didn't think of coming to America, darling. We were very, very happy in our country. No one immigrates to any country because we were happy. We were Buddhists. We were not ambitious. No. Buddhists don't care about money and possession. All they care about yourself, about their religion and improving yourself. But when we had Aung San Suu Kyi's father saw that we had the independence from the British, and we got our independence. Aung San Suu Kyi's father fought for our Burmese independence. And so that's how we became independent, but we were democratic. So we were very happy. But later, they were not happy. There was a group that wanted to take over from Aung San, from a democratic government. Then they became the military government. And when they became a military government and, got rations and everything, then we decided to immigrate to America. I decided. Kuchami didn't want to come, poor guy, But he didn't want to come, he's happy with his own. But I had the ambitious British blood and all.
So at that time you had already had Keith, correct? Your first son?
All of them.
All the kids?
All the kids had been born before you wanted to leave to the United States, and so...
But I left because of my husband, because he got sick. And we went to the doctor, and so with the military government, they didn't take care of our hospitals. With the British, we had a very good doctors and hospitals and your best doctors, all trained in England.
So when did the British leave?
In 1948.
And that's when the Burmese government
Took
came
over.
back
That's when
in.
Aung San Suu Kyi's father, Aung San, took over. He went over to Japan with a group of people and got himself organized and told the British, kick the British out.
Oh, darn.
So anyway, that's what happened. But we were happy with because Aung San had a democratic government. But then the military government now, Ne was the first dictator. He took over. When Ne took over, we decided, and Ko Chong-min got sick. I didn't want him to die in Burma because it wasn't good. The doctors were very good, but the hospital wasn't good, no facilities. So we decided to come because he got sick.
What was he sick with?
Oh, with liver.
Oh. Because of the drinking?
Yeah, he loved his whiskey. All these people that came under British was Johnny Walker people. All British, all army and everybody was. And it's a big thing to go to clubs in the evening. All the officers, all of them were high-ranking officers. Mm-hmm. They meet with Dr. Sarian and all that. All day to go to clubs and drink whiskey.
And so what kind of boat did you come over on? Or how did you...
No boat.
How did you come over?
We flew, darling.
You flew?
We flew.
Okay.
Yes, at that time. When was Melody born? That
May
day.
9th,
Yeah,
1971.
Yeah. So we must have spent some time in Hong Kong. So it must be April.
And you spent some time in Thailand too, right?
No, but I traveled with government, because I was in the government with the bank. They sent me all over, anywhere you want to go. When we were under the British, all our fellowships, nothing. I didn't have to pay for my any of these colleges. Going to Australia was free. Going to Hong Kong, I went and studied in all the Asian countries and about tourism and all, because we were in the bank,
And so when you...
So everything was free because of the scholarships and fellowships. United Nations gave us fellowships. So we were so lucky. And in college, I don't think my mother paid for my college. It was free, darling.
Wow.
Education and all were free.
Times have certainly changed, huh?
Oh, definitely.
So,
And now you got to pay thousands for you in America. All of you have to pay to go to college and good, but not in Burma. I don't know how my poor mother was a widow. My father died early.
so when you came to America, I know you went and got your master's.
First, as soon as I came to America, we had to look for a job.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to get a job because I had all these degrees from other countries and from Burma and all that. So they did give me a job, but they did not give me management. They only give me an assistant financial officer in Chevron. You see, at once I interviewed with my Burmese clothes. I didn't get any job with my Burmese clothes. But when I went with a dress, American dress, I got the job. So I got the education, but so I said I'm going to keep that dress and put it in for, forever, because that dress got me the job.
Wow.
I was qualified.
Yeah.
The Americans were, at that time, were quite...
And you're a very stylish person.
No,
Oh, yeah.
not as stylish. No, because I was dressed if I went with my Burmese clothes, I didn't get it. So they were very discriminating
Yeah.
against, against what you call it, Mexicans or Indians or anything.
So you came and got a job with Chevron, and then,
at once as an assistant, financial assistant.
and then what did you do after?
And then I found that they wouldn't give me a management job. But then in 71, there was a law. It was called the affirmative action. In about 72, 73, 74, the new law was blacks and women must get into management. It was all whites with blonde hair. All
like you,
whites. No, all whites. Oh, men, darling, men. No women. Also all the white women and the white Asians and the blacks all fought, and it was called affirmative action. So they had to pass a law for people to get into management. And at that time, as soon as I got into, so I said, why can't I be in management? So they said that my degree, they didn't recognize a degree from Burma. So what I had to do is I went back to St. Mary's to get my master's in business, economics and business. I went, and that class was the first executive MBA program. You don't have to be a college student to go there. You have to be in working. And it's only for people like captains of the ship and people that went, are all high people, but they don't have business experience. So St. Mary's opened this new MBA program. It was called Executive MBA, and the classes were by UC Berkeley. Professors came and taught us at night.
You worked
Moonlighted.
and then
Huh?
you worked in the
No,
day.
I worked during the day and went to this night MBA class. And the professors also were at the UC Berkeley and came and taught us at night.
And you owned a hotel as well, right?
Wait.
That was afterward.
Wait, and then when you graduated your MBA, weren't you the first?
The first Asian to graduate with all these people that went to an MBA program, all are men really, few women. But then there was a law saying that a woman must get into management. Can you imagine? They had to pass a law in America for women and blacks to go in.
And then
So
once
I got into the first, but I graduated from MBA, first Asian woman to black,
From
Asian
where?
woman. From MBA, from my school,
from St. Mary's, the very first, and you were in the
Yeah.
newspaper and everything.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, can you imagine America, darling, having to tell that women and blacks couldn't get into management? So it's called affirmative action. And now they are against affirmative action now. The people now saying, no, the blacks and women already got management position, so we don't have to have a law. Now we
Yeah.
have lots of women. Look at it, head of companies and all, like the Google and all that girl that wanted to be a governor and all that.
And then you also, like Tyler was saying about the hotel.
Oh gosh, and being in business, I was so ambitious. All I think is about, instead of the work I was doing then after Chevron, there was the general manager of Sealand, CSX, and all of us were in the same class. Now, he was the general manager. It's a big company. CSX is one of the first container shipping company in America. The first, because they developed containerization, and it was called Sealand, and that was our company. So of course, all the managers and general managers were all men, so they had to come and take the MBA program. So we just happened to be in the same class. And the affirmative action law just passed. So he has to have a black or a woman under him. So he didn't want to have a black, he's still discriminating, and he didn't see any other woman, were qualified. So he says, Flora, we were in class together. He says, the first month I went to the class, he says, do you want to work with me? Oh, as in my, financial advice, what do you call it? My financial, gosh, what
Your
did
position?
The financial position, next to him, his advice. So he says, do you want to work with me? And I said, is it management? Yes, you will be in management. And how much you're going to pay? And he knew he did offer me a salary and a management position because he needed a woman management in his company. So just 1 month, and I didn't even pass my MBA. He says he interviewed me at a bar in Orinda, and I got the job because we were classmates. So all of us go, after school to the bar. Or I don't drink, but he says. So he got me the job because I was a woman, and there was this affirmative action law.
And he still keeps in contact with you.
Yes,
I remember he
all
still
of
calls.
them, all of them. All the captain, all the general manager. I have to work for them because analyst. I was their financial analyst. So all the money, one ship at that time was about 40 million when we built a ship. Now it's about 100 million, I think. But I handled all the finance. And somebody wanted to sell this old hotel in Berkeley, UC Berkeley. Somebody, wanted to get rid of it with almost nothing. So I seized it because I had a son, Keith, who was in construction. And I had a son-in-law who also was in construction, Melody's husband. So both of them said they will help me to refurnish this hotel. So both of them worked on the hotel to, to run it, to refurbish it. Mm-hmm. And it was on Durant Avenue Hotel, next to the Durant Hotel.
And what was it called?
Something, I don't know.
Mom, do you remember? What was the hotel
what's
called?
What's the hotel called?
Victoria Inn.
Victoria Hotel.
Oh.
Trust
She
them.
goes, I don't know. But you remember the address just fine.
I know. I remember numbers, but no, I forgot everything. Anyway, it's called the Victoria Hotel.
Oh, okay.
And it was so popular. Byron is, my son Byron was very, very friendly. He's such a good manager. And
He gave away everything.
Huh?
That he gave away everything.
Oh yes, but so who we had as our bar, we had a very most popular student bar. This hotel originally had the most popular student bar in Berkeley. So Byron hired the football group at that time. And that time they were winning too. So all our footballers were bartenders. So half of our profits went to their friends for free, and half went on the floor because they didn't drink the beer, they spilled the beer, So the bar part was not, but very, very popular bar. After 10 o'clock, it's all full at night. I don't know why the students come and drink after studying, I think, 9, 10, then they come, and it's quite full till 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so we had a very, very, and we had rooms upstairs.
How many?
So it was about 20 rooms. Not a small hotel, it's
Yeah.
a small hotel.
20 rooms.
About 20 or something.
And how long did you have the hotel for?
I had, the idea was to take the hotel, refurbish it and bring it up, let it run, and then sell. We were not in the hotel business. I didn't know anything about the hotel business. That's what we did. The boys, Mike, Keith and all, redone the whole, and then sold it.
So you sold it
Yeah.
after how long of having it?
Oh God, not much, darling. A few years, you know, a few years. And then we were very lucky that we lived with a neighbor in El Cerrito. Who's this?
Jewel?
Jewel.
Mrs. Gross?
We lived next door to Jewel, who had another big Victorian house in Berkeley, in Durand, and she had renters that wouldn't get out. So she was my neighbor, and so she says, so I said, Jewel, how much are you getting for your rentals? I says, because it's rent control in Berkeley. She had nothing. The poor thing had a lovely big 4,000 square foot Victorian for nothing. So I said, all right, you sell me the house and I will give you, that's what she wants. She wants money, you know. So she sold me the house, nothing down, darling, nothing down.
Wow.
Because she's very rich, you know, Jewel and all, very rich. So she sold me the house with nothing down. So when I said I was going to live in it, then we could move the renters out. So I did all that for her, you know. So we bought the house, and then I rented rooms. Yes, and so we rented rooms, darling. And there we had a lovely big house, and you know, and Duran. No, what street
Mom?
is it, darling? It is on Durand, I think.
I remember I saw it. Mom took me around there to see it.
So
It's
that's
huge.
the house, all right? That's the house. And she sold it. She says, only give me no, yes, about 130, yes, $130, $1,000 each. So with no money down. So she just let me do that. I got rid of the things. And then and it was very well. The rentals were very well, but Brandon, what's his name, Byron didn't want to take care of it. Madorio didn't want to take care of it. Melody was working, and you know. So we sold it, and I gave her $135,000 that she wanted.
Okay.
So she was happy.
So when did you meet Don? I mean, when did you guys get married, your second husband?
I don't know when, but sometime. And my husband died, you know, with his cancer, with liver
disease,
dying.
yeah.
We did die. He did die.
So you married Don Savage, Donald Savage.
Donald Savage. He's a professor of paleontology, UC Berkeley. Professor. He was Donald, And he wanted to go to Burma, so I said, all right, I want to talk to the professor, because we had a common friend, you know, from my office. So I've been talking to him forever. They got married, you know. Yeah, that's how we got together, because he wanted to go to Burma to look for fossils. So I said, you better not go to that area where he was going. It's full of snakes and all.
And so then you came here, you lived in Concord. How many homes do you have now?
I bought 15 homes in my life, you know. 15, darling. One after another, one. I should have kept a lot, of course.
And so which ones do you have now?
Oh, in Utah.
How many?
And then I bought 4 houses here here. Oh no, darling, don't ask about houses.
So you have one in
I
a
still want all my grandchildren to buy houses. All of you. The first paycheck you'll get, buy an old, affordable house, not the one you're going to stay, just for investment. Please buy your first house as an investment and rent it. You don't have to live in it. Your mother's got enough money, houses for you all to live in. Just rent it. And that's the best investment you can make. You control it. The banks don't control it. Banks they're all for money, you know, all taking your money, all the banks. I know, I work in the banking system, so I know. So I want all of you all to buy your first home, rent it.
Fix it up and then rent it right away.
Yes, rent it, and you get, and the renter will pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
That is the principle. At least buy first house and the second house, and then if you want your own house to live in, that's about, you can save and live in any part of America. But your first house, let it be a small fixer-upper, whatever it is, and do it. And my advice, the best investment is yours. Like you don't lose.
Okay.
You don't lose. Yeah. Well, I had a beautiful life. I have beautiful grandchildren, beautiful son-in-law.
Grandson-in-law.
How many? You? The other two haven't married, all right.
It's just me. I think I'm the first out of your grandchildren to get married.
I know. And we lucked out.
Yeah.
And we lucked out.
It's true.
Lucked out with a blonde. Why? Who is it that wanted to marry a blonde white boy? Cheryl.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Her
my
niece.
niece also wanted, and
And
he
she
did
got
marry.
it,
Yeah.
and because she wanted a child that was
Was
blonde,
blonde.
blue-eyed, and she got that too. Yeah, so we'll see. I think
So
there's.
let's see who we get, but I
Yeah.
don't care who it is. But I thought my grandson is like my son now. All of y'all are my son. Yeah.
If you set your goals like grandma, you'll get what you want, right?
Yeah.
Just the only thing, don't spend money. Don't spend money. Now Melody is very
You don't
frugal.
want to talk about
What?
how you sold stuff in the dorm?
What?
Sold stuff in the dorms. Well, the camera's not on.
Where,
yet.
darling?
It's not on?
No, it's just on her face.
No, what did I do? I did, in college in Burma?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
All the stuff. You should say the stuff.
Oh,
on
yes,
the back.
darling,
remember
I'm business. Oh, so I'm going to write a book. But what I'm saying is, even when I was in college, my mother was a single lady and she was in a business family. So she made brassiers in Burma. She had about 15 machines and 15 girls working in Burma. So what she made, and in Burma, your costume is so hot, you wear very thin clothes, so you see your underwear, bra, beautiful underwear. She used to make it.
That's why you would always come to when you came here. I remember when we were younger, you would always wear these see-through black outfits or random see-through shirts, and you'd always show your bra. And I never understood why.
All the bras were shown because it's so hot in Burma. You have to wear very fine clothes, so you see your beautiful bra, but you don't see the flesh, darling.
Yeah.
So you have to wear beautiful. My mother was just like me, darling. Very
Ambitious.
What do you call it? Entrepreneur,
Yeah.
She was an entrepreneur, not a word of English. She came to America, she didn't speak a word of English, but she went to India, went everywhere. She got around.
So then was she here before you came, or did she come over with you?
No, we came together. But she traveled, I'm just saying. She traveled to India and all that. Although she didn't speak English because she's a Buddhist. She's a Buddhist lady.
Yeah. And then she.
But what happened is she gave me the business. I mean, so she made the clothes, and I used to sell them in the college.
Oh.
So all my girls, everybody will buy from her,
Very
So I
business
didn't-
oriented.
So from a young age, darling.
Yeah, it's just about done.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also, and then she died at 97.
Yes. I'm sure she's older because we didn't keep records of how old she was. But my mother's family, all father and all lived all 97 and everybody. All of them lived over 90, darling. Because if you eat the right diet, fish and vegetables are very plentiful in Burma. So that's what people eat. No one ate beef because you don't have
cows.
beef.
Yeah.
The poor cows worked for us. But the climate is so wet that we don't have beef. So we do have chicken was a luxury, and they like chicken. But
And-
pork was a second.
And one last question. I know, so the Moon Dynasty, or
and then
mom, your
my
husband,
mom,
or
I married Myint, and his family comes straight from the Moon Dynasty, down in the Tenasserim area. Burma was split, half, like 5 states, and one of the states was the Moon state, and that's where Melody and your family, the royal family, direct descendant of the Moon dynasty.
wow.
So you'll have royalty, not me. I'm just plain.
You married into it, so that makes you royalty.
No, but I was in the, what do you call it, business.
Well,
I'm fine.
well, you
I'm
had.
fine. So I'm very lucky. Then we married a beautiful American, also from the Utah State, who's almost royalty too. He is royalty.
Oh, Tyler is.
You-
Oh,
I was
man.
like, who are we talking about?
And he married my granddaughter, my beautiful granddaughter, Talia. So we have somebody from Utah, which I love, and we all love my husband, the professor, who was a paleontologist. He loved Utah. And I bought houses in Utah, land, 40 acres for a few pennies, very cheap at that time. And then and my granddaughter had to marry somebody from Utah.
Go look for
Which
fossils.
no, but I mean, you just have a coincidence,
Yeah,
darling.
it is.
It's a coincidence, and my granddaughter married somebody from Utah royal family. They must be.
That's me.
You know.
Magleby.
You see the Michael B's.
Yeah.
That's your grandfather. Both came. I found out that were from Utah. Isn't that
And so
beautiful?
we have just a little bit more tape left, but one more thing, if you could say anything, Grandma, to your family, what do you think is the most important?
Oh, well, the most important that I found out was the religion and faith are so important, and I'm so glad that when I spoke to Tyler, you know, that we are all, you know, under Jesus, and that is what kept us going. That is the most important, I think. And Jesus will take care of all of us, you know. And I don't mind which one, whether it is Catholic or Methodist or Friends or who are, you know, whatever religion we are under Jesus. And Jesus had brought us to America. Out of the 40 million people, why me, you know? And I'm very happy. And I'm glad that we are all Christians, all right? So just keep your Christian faith. You have to, Ryan, all right? Your Christian faith. Very important, darling. Jesus will take care of you, isn't it? And have taken care of. So I just prayed, yeah. And the next thing, all right, after faith, darling, is education, all right?
Absolutely.
Education, and just have a good goal in life, all right? Good work. But I think Jesus will brought us here, and Jesus will take care of all of us. Just believe in Him, all right? Brandon is, I'm very glad, all of us.
Thank you, Grandma.
Thank you, thank you. Gosh, I talked so much, but I write about it, all right?
Thank you very much.